It's your boy Charles. Charles on as well, just checking in. Hope you guys having a good evening. We are getting ready to delve into another book audio reaction. Let's go ahead and play it, and I'm gonna come back with my reaction. Appreciate it, guys.
For men. Kold 187 and Ice Cube were label mates briefly, but when Cube left Ruthless in 1989, expectations soared for Above the Law, particularly for Kold 187. As a spark plug, tough-talking rapper, perhaps he could fill Cube's void. The pair was initially tight. Kold 187 respected Cube's style, and Above the Law's 1990 single, Murder Rap, samples him from Straight Outta Compton. Here's a murder rap to keep you dancing. But there was a difference. If Cube was rapping stories of the ne'er-do-wells he observed, Kold 187 and his group mates were describing their own upbringings. "We created Above the Law with street money," Kold 187 said. With Cube and NWA now at odds, Above the Law sided firmly with the latter camp. During the promotion of Living Like Hustlers, released in 1990, Above the Law escalated tensions with Cube. In a Los Angeles Times interview that April, Mac questioned Cube's street credentials. Ice Cube, how's he going to write about something he's never been through? Ice Cube had a good house. He had both a mother and father with him. He got bused to a good school. He added that Cube's rowdy first-person rhymes were actually about their lifestyles. Cube shrugged off the criticism. New jacks, posers, from Pomona should only talk about the 10 freeway, he told the reporter, Jonathan Gold, referencing the transportation artery that cuts through Above the Law's home base. Gold today is a Los Angeles Times food critic and Pulitzer Prize winner, but back then he covered the emergent LA gangster rap scene before just about anyone else, giving NWA its first cover story in 1989 for LA Weekly. Gold's story on Above the Law got Ice Cube into serious hot water. Cube should have known better than saying something so inflammatory. Everyone knows you don't insult a fellow rapper's home turf. But the word posers, which Cube never actually said, made it a whole lot worse. Gold told me that his editor insisted upon adding the word to clarify the meaning of New Jacks. Whatever the case, Above the Law didn't enjoy the characterization. Upon the article's publication, Easy called up Kold 187. "Did you read the paper?" Easy asked him. "He trying to get his clown on." "I'm gonna beat your boy up when I see him," Kold 187 responded. "Don't do it, homie," cautioned Easy. Insisted Kold 187. "I'ma beat his ass." As it turned out, he would see Ice Cube that very night, April 7th, 1990, at the Anaheim Celebrity Theater for a show headlined by Above the Law. The 2,500-seat venue was an important one for ruthless acts, who had a hard time finding places to let them play. The crowd was light that night, but issues arose backstage. Cube was there, doing a magazine interview, and he and Kold 187 exchanged words in the hallway. Initially, nothing came of it, and Cube headed toward the dressing room of opener's low profile. Apparently reconsidering, however, Cube popped back into Kold 187's dressing room and addressed him from the doorway. "I guess he tried to come to my dressing room to apologize to me, but I'm still thinking he still want to fight," Kold 187 remembered. "Soon as he stepped in my dressing room, he said, 'What's up?' And I give him a right. Hutch came at him with a 2-piece chicken wing in the jaw. Knocked him back," recalled rapper Cocaine, an Above the Law affiliate who performed that night. "They started yelling. Hutch said, 'Nigga, don't you ever put our name in your mouth.' He tried to give me something, and I give him another left," Kold 187 continued. "And then security rushed us. They were throwing punches," said Crazy D, the early NWA affiliate who witnessed the altercation. "We grabbed Cube and said, 'This isn't the place.'" Accounts of the damage vary. Cube had a little scratch on him. His new DeLynch mob partner JD said. It wasn't really no fight, it was just a little scuffling, says Sir Jinx. Neither of these two members of Cube's posse had been allowed into the theater, however, which is perhaps what prevented the incident from escalating into a full-blown melee. At the end of the day, Cube was fine physically, but he knew it was time for reinforcements. I was like, yo, we can't do business together, but we can still be homies. I was a little naive on that tip, until I saw that there was true venom there, Cube said. A different severe sonic direction. Upon leaving NWA, Cube immediately signed a solo deal with Priority Records, the same company that distributed NWA, and got to work. When it came to picking producers for his first album, he chose Public Enemy's beat-making team, the Bomb Squad, known for their apocalyptic postmodern soundscapes, whom he'd gotten to know from shows NWA performed with Public Enemy before he left. The Bomb Squad featured Chuck D, a pair of visionary brothers who called themselves Hank and Keith Shock Lee, and Eric Sadler. Following the success of Public Enemy's second album, It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back, they were in the midst of crafting the group's next album, Fear of a Black Planet, to which Cube contributed, and which featured the group's most famous song, Fight the Power, originally conceived for Spike Lee's 1989 film, Do the Right Thing. They were the perfect choice for Cube's solo debut, America's Most Wanted, but they actually weren't his first or even his second. Cube was hoping to get Dre to produce it, but Ruthless wouldn't allow it, and so in late 1989, Cube headed to New York, hoping to work with Sam Seaver, known for his work with Third Base. Cube ventured to the offices of the act's label Def Jam, but never met up with Seaver. Instead, at the offices he ran into Chuck D, who suggested they work together. The Bomb Squad, familiar with Cube through his work with NWA, was thrilled with the idea and looked forward to indulging their more melodic side. A lot was riding on the collaboration. Cube in particular was anxious to show his detractors in NWA he was for real. He began readying the album in early 1990 at a pre-production studio in Public Enemy's home turf of Hempstead, Long Island, bringing notebook upon notebook crammed full of lyrics, including 4 songs originally intended for Eazy-E or NWA, like album opener, The Nigga You Love to Hate. He and the album's co-producer, Sir Jinx, sparred a bit about its counterintuitive chorus, "Fuck you, Ice Cube." Because after all, why would you diss yourself? But this type of bold, chip-on-shoulder rhetoric would help define Ice Cube's solo work. His firebrand character was still repressed, brash, and dangerous, but also seemed to realize there was more to life than bitches and money. He was on a quest to root out greed, addiction, racism, and other bullshit. Behind Cube's snarling bravado, what's often overlooked in his work is his pure, driven artistry. He arrived in New York prepared to work his ass off. I figured he'd be coming into the studio with women and drinking 40s. It wasn't like that at all, said Sadler, who gets much of the credit for the sound of America's Most Wanted. It developed organically. The producers told Cube to go find your album, i.e. to dig through the squad's giant catalog of records and decide which ones he liked. He stayed up late and slept there, zeroing in on funk LPs. Sir Jinx made sure the album maintained a West Coast flavor, but at the same time, it charted a different, severe sonic direction. Endangered Species, Tales from the Dark Side, samples Fuck the Police. A young nigga got it bad 'cause I'm brown, but has a frenetic pace with stop and start samples and grim pronouncements from Chuck D. The final recordings were done at Soho's Green Street Studios, with Cube and his crew living out of a furnished apartment in the village. The album's title is a Ku Klux Klan reference, and Cube said it came to him from the television show America's Most Wanted. That kind of represents the America that we were dealing with during Reaganomics, he said, adding that spelling it like that made the record political and not just dismissed as a gangster record. Released in May 1990 on Priority, America was a quick seller though, as with Straight Outta Compton. Many critics didn't warm to it. Some of that had to do with America's most infamous track, You Can't Fade Me, which sees Cube's character learning he has made the neighborhood hussy pregnant. All I saw was Ice Cube in court, paying a gang of child support. Then I thought deep about getting up the money. What I need to do is kick the bitch in the tummy. Women are often the antagonists in Ice Cube songs. NWA's I Ain't the One portrays them as manipulative gold diggers. Cube also engaged in what could be called slut-shaming and seemed to harbor the downright reactionary viewpoint that women who get pregnant should alone have to deal with the consequences. If you're a bitch, you're probably not going to like us, Cube said in a 2015 interview about his use of sexist slurs. If you're a hoe, you probably don't like us. If you're not a hoe or a bitch, don't be jumping to the defense of these despicable females. Just like I shouldn't be jumping to the defense of no punks or no cowards or no slimy son of a bitches that's men. On the album, Cube gives his protege, feminist rapper Yo-Yo, a chance to retort on It's a Man's World, but he doesn't exactly come off humbled. Despite the misogyny, America's Most Wanted has gone down as a hip-hop classic, regularly listed among the best rap albums in history. It's probably no exaggeration to say Cube unified the East and West Coasts, at least for a time.
For more of these fascinating stories and true crimes, subscribe to Charles Arnis World. Thanks for watching.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy Charles and Israel, just checking in. So what do y'all think about that book, man? Pretty interesting, huh? Crazy, man. Interesting story. Listen, go ahead and leave your comments and subscribe to Charles and Israel. Appreciate it.